Wind hisses through the damp treetops. Dry leaves snap under running feet. Breathing turns ragged, like someone squeezing the throat. Ahead, a wounded animal staggers, painting a thin trail of blood across the mud. The young hunter tightens his grip on the spear, eyes locked. One more throw, and the camp eats tonight. Then, right as the spear is about to fly, a different spear slams into the ground in front of him. Mud bursts upward. His heart drops. 3 figures step out of the brush. No roar, no shouting, just cold eyes and faces smeared with dirt. They move slowly, fanning into a half circle, like they've been waiting here for a long time. A tall one lifts a hand. Stop. No words needed. 1 step forward, and you die. The hunter glances down and sees strange signs. Small stakes driven in a line, a rough notch carved into a tree, an invisible border split in the forest in 2. He can't read, but he can read a warning carved into fear. The animal panics, lurches toward the boundary. Then one of them yanks it back like it belongs to them. The hunter grits his teeth, steps forward, and instantly more shadows appear behind them. More, quieter, colder. This isn't a chance encounter. It's a trap. The camera sweeps the ground, a pit disguised with leaves, sharp stakes glinting below. The animal was forced into this path on purpose. This place has an owner, and the owner is standing right in front of him. He backs away, hands trembling on the spear. Then he turns and runs, not from shame, but from survival. Behind him, a short call cuts through the trees, sharp as stone. He doesn't need to look back to know. They've memorized his face. And in that moment, he understands something terrifying. In this forest, hunting the wrong place isn't a mistake. Hunting the wrong place is a crime. If you like stories that feel like a movie, but teach you what survival really looked like, how territory became power, and why the law of the wild was born, hit subscribe right now. Because every episode goes deeper into the brutal, primitive struggle that shaped human history. Raw, ruthless, and real. Now, back to the hunter. He crashes through the brush, lungs burning. Behind him, there's no chase. Only a silence so unnatural it feels like the forest itself is watching. When the campfire finally flickers between the trees, he doesn't feel safe. He feels cold in his bones. Because he knows, the moment that spear hit the ground, the hunt ended, and a war just began. He stumbles into camp like a man who barely escaped death. The fire is kept low, too weak to push back the dark. Smoke clings to skin, but heavier than smoke are the eyes on him. Eyes staring at his empty hands. In the corner, a child clutches their stomach and wheezes. The stone pot holds only cloudy water and a few roots. An elder sits close to the embers, lips cracked open. No one asks, "Did you get anything?" Because the answer is already in the sound of hunger. He swallows hard. There were border stakes. 2 words. The camp goes dead silent. The chief lifts his head. Firelight carves his face like stone. Where? By the stream, where the deer pass. Someone hisses, "That's ours." But a woman drags a leather pouch in front of everyone, shakes it. Nothing. Another man holds up bones gnawed clean. Hunger doesn't care about pride. Hunger doesn't care who's right. The chief doesn't shout. He stands, grabs his spear, and points at the young hunter. "You, with me. Not to hunt, to beg." 3 men pull thin hides over their shoulders and carry the most valuable things they have. A bit of firestone, a good stone blade, and a necklace of animal teeth, something you don't eat, something you trade for your life. They step into the forest with feet that feel like dragging rocks. The closer they get to the stream, the colder the air becomes. The border stakes appear again, this time thicker, tighter. Fresh cuts in tree bark look like warnings clawed into the wood just last night. The brush trembles. Figures step out. Not 3 this time, an entire group. Silent, positioned like they rehearsed it. The tall one from yesterday moves forward, spear held upright, blocking the path. The chief sets their offerings on the ground, slowly, clearly. He doesn't bow, but his eyes lower just enough to be humiliating. The tall one looks at the pile, then flicks it aside with the tip of his spear like, it's trash. He points to the ground beside the border stake. Then he points at their weapons. 1 second, 2 seconds. The young hunter hears his own heartbeat. The chief lays his spear down. Another man places the stone blade down too. It feels like peeling your backbone out of your body, but the young hunter hesitates, just a breath longer. Fingers clamp too tight around the shaft. That tiny delay is the spark. A heavy step. A rough hand jerks the weapon away. Instinct kicks in. He grabs back, not to attack, but not to be stripped bare. Here, instinct is called defiance. A slap cracks through the forest. His head snaps sideways. Metallic taste floods his mouth. Rage and shame blur his vision. The chief raises a hand. Stop. Too late. The world explodes like stone under fire. Boots in mud, wood against bone, breath tearing, growls swallowed deep. Nobody screams. Everyone knows screams bring more enemies. He's shoved face first into wet earth. A spear tip presses against his throat. Doesn't stab, just enough to say, move, and you're done. Then, a drop of red hits the mud. Not much, but enough to turn that border into a vow written in blood. The tall one crouches, stares straight into his eyes, and says one short word. Forbidden. They don't kill them. They release them. Release them to carry shame back to camp. Release them so hunger can finish the job. The 3 men walk away from the forbidden forest in silence. But this silence isn't fear anymore. It's understanding. From today on, to get meat, it isn't enough to be a good hunter. You have to be ready to pay. Night falls fast, like a black hide thrown over the forest. The fire in camp is forced down to a thin ring of embers. No one dares let it flare. Light can call predators, and it can call enemies. The wounded man lies curled near the edge of the heat, breath whistling through clenched teeth. Each shiver makes the whole camp go still, like pain might shake the night awake. The chief sits rigid, his hand never leaving the spear. No comfort left. Hunger and humiliation have eaten every soft word. Then the silence changes, not the normal quiet of night, the kind of quiet where the forest holds its breath. An insect stops singing. Even a falling leaf sounds loud. The dogs tuck their tails, bark once, then go quiet, like something has muted them. The young hunter guarding the perimeter feels ice crawl up his spine. He stares into the trees and sees a shadow slip past, fast as wind, low as an animal. He tightens his grip, ready to call out, then swallows it. If you shout, you die. If you don't, you might die anyway. Morning comes, no raid, no bodies, no screams, no blood, but something worse. The traps at the forest edge are destroyed, ropes severed clean like cut by stone teeth, marking stakes ripped up and replanted upside down, an insult. On the path to the stream, a new line of stakes stands closer, thicker, and in the mud, footprints circling the camp, slowly, calmly, like they're measuring the neck they plan to tighten. Without throwing a spear, they are strangling this camp. A woman rushes out searching for tracks. Nothing. It's It's like the forest has been locked. A man returns from the stream, face drained white, holding a small piece of wood smeared with wet mud, new markings carved into it. A sign, a ban. The chief stares at it a long time, then throws it into the dirt. He doesn't speak, but everyone understands. They've been pushed to the cliff's edge. Stay and starve. Leave and die on the road. And every day the ring tightens. Midday is bright, but the camp feels dark inside people's eyes. The young hunter sits by the ashes, staring at his chipped stone blade. Every chip is a new humiliation. The other tribe doesn't need to win a battle. Just keep them hungry long enough, and they'll break themselves. And then hunger does what spears couldn't do fast enough. Second night, stronger wind, weaker embers. In the corner, a young father rises quietly. No one stops him. Maybe no one sees. Maybe everyone pretends not to. He throws a thin hide over his shoulders, slips flint stones and a coil of cord into a pouch. He looks at his sleeping child, then looks at the forest. He doesn't want to be a traitor. He wants meat. A second shadow follows, then a third. 3 men melt into the night, the shadows of hunger. They don't take the main path. The main path has stakes. They cut around the rocks, through thorns, careful not to snap branches. The young hunter almost calls out. Then he doesn't. If they return with meat, the camp lives. If they don't return, the camp dies anyway. Minutes pass. Then a tiny sound, a sharp snap, like a cord pulled tight. Immediately after, a choked noise, not a scream, more like a sound swallowed inside a throat. The young hunter jolts. The whole camp jolts. But the chief throws up a hand. Stay, because that's what the other tribe wants. Drag them out of the fire circle. In the darkness, no one can see clearly. Only the trunks of silent trees. Only the wind that sounds like laughter. Then footsteps, not running, not rushing. Footsteps circling, counting. No one dares chase. A long time later, 3 shadows become 2. 2 men stumble back, faces drained of life. No meat, only panic. One trembles so hard he can barely speak, repeating, "Traps, traps." They knew everything. No one needs more. The forbidden forest isn't just stakes. It has eyes. It has ears. It has a plan. The chief stares into the embers. His eyes aren't a hunter's eyes anymore. They're the eyes of a man who's about to decide how many people must bleed so the rest can live. He rises slowly, looking at each face, counting how long they have left. And the young hunter understands the truth, cold as stone. This hunting ground isn't just where the animals are. It's the storehouse of survival. Whoever controls the storehouse makes the rules. The chief's grip tightens on his spear. His voice is low, heavy as rock. If we leave, we die on the road. If we stay, we die of hunger. He points toward the border stakes. There's only one way. Tonight, we don't beg. A collective swallow. No cheers, no cries. A woman hugs her child tighter. An old man closes his eyes like he's praying to something that doesn't exist. The young hunter lifts his spear. His hands still shake. Not because he fears being killed, but because he knows he's about to kill. The fire flares for a second when the wind shifts. Red light flashes across mud-smeared faces, turning them into war masks. And in that light, the hunt becomes war. Tonight, they will cross the border, not to take an animal, but to take back the right to live. That night, they don't take the path. They slide along the rocks, wade through cold mud, and kill the flame in their hands so darkness can swallow them whole. No voices, only breath held tight and hearts pounding like war drums. The border appears, stakes packed close, rough cuts scarred into the trees. The chief raises a hand. Stop. Wait. Then a tiny nod. Shadows flow forward. A guard on the other side turns his head, and the young hunter lunges, clamps a hand over his mouth. No scream. Just one sharp struggle, and silence. In seconds, they drag the trapped animal back across the line, like dragging a breath back into the camp's lungs. But when their own firelight finally flickers in the distance, no one feels safe. Everyone knows. Tonight they won. Only for now. The other tribe will remember, and this forest will never be fair. So if you were the chief, what would you choose? Would you leave to survive, or stay to hold the land, knowing tomorrow will be bloodier? Drop your choice in the comments. I read every one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, more brutal, more intense, and even more real about how our species fought to survive.